and welcome to today's live session on unpacking the evolution of B2B digital commerce and looking at our expert predictions for 2026. Let's give everyone 1 to 2 more minutes to join the live cast before we begin. As a few housekeeping notes, this session will be recorded, and everyone registered and attending will receive a copy of the recording within the next few days. We unfortunately won't have time for a Q&A at the end of the session just due to the amount of speakers and content, but please feel free to submit your questions in the question panel and comments sections, and our experts will follow up with you after the webinar. Okay, so I think we are at a good time to get started. Welcome again, everyone, to today's live session, Pivotal Trends and Predictions in B2B Digital Commerce, where we will be hearing from a stellar group of commerce industry experts about what B2B businesses can expect from 2026 and what trends they should watch for in order to stay ahead of the curve. My name is Julia Rapkin. I am the Senior Product Marketing Manager for B2B at commercetools, and I'm super excited about our lineup today and to moderate this session. So without further ado, I'd love to open up the floor for our commerce experts to briefly introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Anastasia Truka, and I'm a product team lead within the core commerce area here at commercetools, and super excited to be with all of you today.
Hi, I'm Niels Medina. I'm Staff Product Manager at commercetools.
Hello, I'm Onur Büyükdezgal, and I'm Team Lead Website and SEO at commercetools.
Hi, I'm Aaron Birnbaum. I'm Head of Product for our connected ecosystem at commercetools.
Hi, everyone. I'm Esra Argias. I'm the Senior Product Manager for Checkout and Payments at commercetools.
Hi, I'm Siddharth Chakravanshi. I'm an Implementation Success Manager at commercetools. Excited to be here.
Thank you all again so much for being here, and I can't wait to hear each of your insights. But first, let me give a bit of background on how we all got here. So everything you're going to hear in today's session is actually based on our 4th annual edition of the Pivotal Trends and Predictions in B2B Commerce report. This is 40 plus pages of meaty content all around the current state of B2B digital commerce and the direction it's heading in, and dives into all 8 of the predictions we will cover today in much more depth. So if you're interested in learning more, scan that QR code to download it in full. I'll also put it up again at the end of the live cast. So if you don't catch it now or you aren't sure whether you want to read all of it, you'll have another chance to decide at the end. In the meantime, let me set the scene a little bit for our predictions with what's going on in the B2B commerce world and give you a sneak peek of what we cover in the report, very briefly, because I know everyone wants to get to the predictions. Last year, the overarching theme that we noticed in the market the most was that there was becoming a distinct gap between those B2B organizations that were leading in digital commerce, that we called outperformers, and the laggards. And we believe that this gap is only going to continue to widen in 2026 due to none other than, you guessed it, AI. Now, to clarify, AI is actually an umbrella term that we'll be using throughout the session and that we use throughout the report to actually refer to a few different but related disciplines and technologies. When we refer to AI generally, we are referring to machine learning, to deep learning, to generative AI, and to agentic AI. These, of course, also work with existing technologies like IoT to allow computers and machines to mimic human behavior. While these are all distinct, coming together, they are quietly reshaping the industry and becoming much more than just a productivity hack. Now, it might seem overwhelming to think, oh, we need to master all of this when there are all of these other areas of our business that need more in the face of all these AI-driven market changes. But we've actually simplified it for you into 5 foundational pillars that your business needs to focus on in order to win in the market in 2026 and beyond. Very briefly, the first foundational pillar is data. This is the fuel. You cannot have AI without clean, structured, and centralized data. You'll hear this come up as a theme throughout. The second pillar is brand. In an era where AI generates everything, trust is your only competitive moat. This becomes paramount. The third pillar is unified commerce. This is the engine. So this is about having an API-first architecture that lets the AI magic actually happen across all of your systems. Fourth pillar is customer centricity. We want to use AI as an amplifier for relationships, not a replacement for them. And you'll hear this theme throughout. AI is not going to replace humans, but it is going to augment the way human beings interact. And finally, last but definitely not least, the fifth pillar is people. You want to make sure that you can empower your teams to move from repetitive manual tasks to strategic consultative roles. By focusing on these pillars, your business will be in a strategic position to not only take advantage of the opportunities that AI presents, but also be prepared for any headwinds that might come your way. The other thing I'm really proud of and excited about that we included in this year's report is the industry's very first B2B specific AI-enabled digital maturity model. Some of you know that a few years ago in 2023, commercetools and our partners Andy Hoare and Brian Beck at Master B2B were the first to establish and release a B2B specific digital maturity model, because we saw that nothing like that existed in the market, and we knew B2B business and technology leaders needed an externally validated method to roadmap their way to be digital outperformers and help make that case for change in their organizations. We see that same need now as well in the face of proliferating AI technologies. So we've taken that baseline and infused the AI element into the changing B2B commerce landscape to give you, our B2B leaders, a tool that you can use to map where your organization is today and to understand what actions you need to be taking to move to where you want to be. The model is split out into 4 stages, starting with new to digital, moving on to table stakes and modern, with the ultimate goal of stage 4 being AI ready. We assume that many of you are already in either stage 2 or stage 3, handling the table stakes of modern online ordering. The goal for 2026 is, how do you get to stage 4, AI ready, where commerce becomes autonomous and self-optimizing, and your customers get to direct the experiences they would like to have. Download the full report, do the assessment with your teams, and let us know what you think. All right, so with that context being set, I don't want to keep you from the insights of the commerce experts any longer. Let's dive right into our 8 predictions for B2B digital commerce in 2026. First up, with our first prediction, is Anna.
Hello. So what we have as the first prediction is that the B2B purchasing is already changing with generative and agentic AI. Up until last year, I remember you were saying no one gets younger except from the B2B buyers, which is true. And with that in mind, it's very interesting to see the Forrester 2026 predictions and the fact that 20% of the B2B sellers will be forced to engage in an agent-led negotiations. So from creating order lists to getting buying approvals, automation has long been the bread and butter of B2B commerce, and agentic capabilities in particular will help B2B companies apply advanced automations and unlock operational efficiency further. And we see this trend already across the 3 following pillars. Pillar number 1 is the purchasing process, where the agents can interpret buyers' requests, evaluate their options, validate availability, etc., so they can help them to efficiently buy what they need. The second pillar is the AI-powered sales reps as well. So these autonomously surface leads, nurture opportunities, and hand off to human sellers only when needed. Why? Because this improves the pipeline velocity without increasing the headcount, which is also super important. And of course, the post-purchase agents. As we mentioned multiple times, in B2B, it's all about trust. What does that mean? Agents can detect, predict, and surface pricing anomalies, initiate replacement, and proactively escalate to human teams where needed. So, moreover, it's expected that as consumers leverage LLMs for product discovery, this behavior will spill over to B2B faster than anticipated. For B2B organizations specifically, this means creating product content and explaining how it's used, not only the product description, but giving this extra insight to the buyer. So the shift to agentic AI won't happen overnight, of course, but definitely we see that 2026 will mark the year when AI begins operating inside the buying and selling journeys rather than simply informing them. So with that in mind, the companies that will prepare their data and their processes and their systems today will be the ones that will be able to capture the earliest and the most meaningful gains from it.
It's becoming a world where B2B merchants have to sell to both the human customer and the code. Thanks for sharing those insights with us, Anna. For our second prediction, I'd like to bring in Aaron, which will lead us perfectly into the infrastructure that's needed to support all of that AI traffic.
Hi, I started at commercetools with our infrastructure team, and their success was generally silent. It meant detecting changes in traffic and ensuring nimble scaling when waves peaked. That experience still shapes how I think about scalability today, but what's becoming clear is that scaling in B2B commerce is entering a very different phase. B2B has always placed unique demands on commerce platforms, multi-step purchasing processes, massive product catalogs, tiered pricing, custom contracts, and complex fulfillment requirements. As B2B firms grow and expand their digital channels, the ability to scale reliably while maintaining performance and supporting real-time interactions becomes a true differentiator, especially as organizations double down on the ease of doing business factor. What's new is, of course, agentic commerce being layered on top of that complexity. Conversational agents, personalization engines, and increasingly autonomous systems are becoming part of the core buying experience. They simplify procurement for customers and accelerate decision-making, but they are also going to fundamentally change traffic patterns. These systems generate high-frequency automated requests. They demand highly structured product data. They expect seamless integration with pricing, inventory, logistics systems. And unlike human-driven traffic, they don't follow familiar rhythms or predictable peaks. That's why scaling will be different. It's no longer just about handling a bigger spike when demand arrives. It's about supporting continuous machine-to-machine interaction, often at volumes and speeds that weren't previously part of B2B commerce. Looking ahead to 2026, B2B organizations will be striving for scalability that embraces this reality. Cloud-native, modular architectures, optimized data pipelines, intelligent volume and load management, not just to survive growth, but to enable it. The B2B leaders who get this right will be the ones who can handle both the inherent complexity of their businesses and the new pressures introduced by AI, while still making commerce feel simple for their customers.
Thank you so much for those insights, Aaron. Scalability is definitely becoming the new reliability, and trust in the age of AI, as we mentioned, is paramount. Up next, for our third prediction, we have Niels to talk about who is actually driving some of these new AI behaviors.
Yeah, so our prediction number 3 for 2026 is that B2B buying experience is looking more and more like the B2C shopping experience. And we used to treat those as completely separate worlds. And admittedly, this is not a new trend, but the data continues to show that this distinction between B2B and B2C is disappearing. Here's a statistic that we find very telling, that 30% of B2B companies report now making major revenue during Black Friday. So it's not your old school B2B anymore. And what it means is that B2B merchants also now need to think about urgency, personalization, demand spikes, everything that B2C merchants have had to deal with for years. And there's two massive forces driving this. So the first thing is that most B2B companies now are selling direct to consumer, D2C. And the numbers there, they're growing very rapidly. And of course, consumers, when they buy from B2B companies, they have the same expectations that when they are buying from, say, Amazon, right? So the second thing is the demographics. And this is maybe the most dramatic one, but over the last few years, the buyer persona has completely changed. Now 71% of B2B buyers are millennial and Gen Z. So it means that only 29 are born before 1980. And so they are completely digital natives. Like me, they have zero patience for paperwork and poor UX. And in fact, what we hear is that most of them would switch supplier if they find a better online experience elsewhere. So the takeaway for 26, it's clear. It's that the winners will be those who can offer B2C-like convenience while still balancing those B2B realities. Back to you, Julia, for the next one.
Niels, thank you so much for these insights. Millennial buyer here, guilty as charged. I feel like we've been talking about the consumerization of B2B for a while now, but AI is really accelerating these behavioral changes. And I think businesses at this stage have no choice but to catch up and to keep up. For our fourth prediction, I'd love to bring in Ezra to talk about how these younger B2B buyers are also going to change the way money moves.
Yes, hello everyone. And today I want to talk about something we deal with every day, B2B payments. They are complicated. Every region has its own compliance rules. Companies have different preferred payment methods, and transactions themselves are often high value. So even a small mistake can be a big problem. So the traditional approach, relying on a single payment provider, often doesn't cut it. Payments can get delayed, cash flow can get disrupted, and operational efficiency suffers. So, and as businesses grow and processes evolve, their payment system really need to keep up. It's not just about taking payments anymore. A modern B2B payment infrastructure should support things like quote-to-order workflows, shared payment methods across teams, and controlling who can approve or initiate payments. And this is where AI can really make a difference. AI is increasingly being seen as a way to streamline complex B2B payments and related processes like invoicing, accounts payable and receivable, trade credit, and order approvals. These processes don't need things like consumer approvals or complicated security checks, so they're easier to automate with AI, which makes them perfect for automation. Using AI here can improve accuracy, speed, and flexibility. In fact, Forrester predicts that by the end of 2026, about a third of B2B payment workflows will involve AI agents. That's a big shift in just a few years. What this really means is that payments are moving from being a purely transactional function to becoming a strategic, automated backbone of B2B commerce. Businesses can scale more confidently, maintain compliance, and keep precision, and all while freeing up teams to focus on higher value work instead of routine of payment checks. So AI isn't just a nice to have, it's becoming essential for businesses that want to stay efficient, accurate, and competitive in B2B payments.
Thank you so much for sharing these perspectives, Ezra. I definitely think that automating and optimizing the financial plumbing is not just an operational and security efficiency driver, but also a great way to lower the cost to serve customers, ultimately affecting the bottom line. Payments is a fast-moving cousin of commerce, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it evolves. I'd love to welcome back Anna to the hot seat for our fifth prediction.
Thank you, Julia. Fifth prediction, assisted selling and how it boosts B2B sales with AI as an intelligent sidekick. So we need to accept a simple human truth which remains. And it is that B2B buyers want a mix of digital technology and personal relationships to help them find what they're looking for. So the element of the personal relationship will not go away, and we do not suggest that, of course. Why? Because that way they can find what they are looking for. They have the trust of finding what they want where and when they need it. They can receive customized pricing and terms and order items seamlessly. Admittedly, the COVID-19 pandemic played a big role in that and provided a blend of digital ease with human oversight that buyers enjoy. But AI is now supercharging assisted selling. Sales reps can pick up a customer's cart, amend it, prepare quotes, communicate offers, finalize orders faster and more efficiently and effectively, while AI analyzes customer history, transaction data, and market trends to recommend the relevant pricing adjustment, bundles, discounts, or quantity increases in some cases. So this next-gen assisted selling acts like a co-pilot for sellers, alerting them to new orders, predicting customer needs, and suggesting margin maximizing strategies. The result is a highly personalized, data-driven sales experience that accelerates deal closure while enabling collaborative buying across procurement, finance, and operations. So the hybrid sales model has become the norm right now in B2B organizations for years already. And we predict that it's only going to get better and smarter and more efficient with integration of AI in 2026.
Thank you for sharing those interesting perspectives, Anna. I definitely think that, the core human expertise, it's not going anywhere, but it is going to be amplified by machine intelligence. And it's going to be a really interesting world for B2B sellers as this year evolves. For our sixth prediction, we're also going to bring back Niels to the hot seat to tell us more about how the backbone of all B2B operations, the ERP, is going to evolve in 2026 with AI.
Right. So this prediction, it tackles specifically the elephant in the room for every B2B implementation. And I'm talking about the dreaded ERP integration. And first, some context on this. So as we all know, the ERP is often the backbone of operations for B2B merchants. But here's the friction point. The number one challenge for B2B commerce is still integrating the data and inventory with the ERP. So what we see way too often happen is that these commerce decisions, they are made mostly based on what connects easiest to my old ERP, rather than what drives best customer experiences. So the ERP is often the bottleneck, and it forces merchants to trade agility with stability. So our prediction is that AI can finally break this trade-off, at least start doing that. It's already transforming ERP integrations from being basically a chore to being a strategic opportunity. And we're moving from what we can call simple data piping to smart data piping. So think about it as a 24/7 automated auditor that sees everything in your system. There's a few strategies that we have identified for merchants to follow first. So one, you can adopt API-first modular platforms and avoid letting the ERP dictate your customer experience. And by using API-first commerce platforms like commercetools, for instance, you can decouple the customer-facing side from the backend. And what this allows you to do is that you can then inject AI services and other modernization to the experience without ripping away the ERP entirely. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be AI-powered monitoring. So AI is very good at identifying patterns. So it can surface anomalies like sudden spike in failed orders or data mismatches. It can fix those issues immediately, or it can alert your team before this impacts the customer. So this can help with improving the responsiveness, where often the ERP rigid processes sort of fall short. The next one has been mentioned by Julia in their intro, but prioritize clean data. It's not negotiable. AI is only as good as the data it's eating. And if the data is messy, then the AI will likely be wrong. So standardizing your data ensures that the AI can operate across your systems, across your ERP, your CRM, your commerce layers, while keeping a single vision of the truth. And the last one is start with baby steps. Don't try and overhaul the entire enterprise overnight. Find the one process that creates the most friction, and then maybe it's the inventory visibility or some approvals. Apply AI there, prove the value, prove that it works, and then scale from there. So the bottom line is that in 26, integrations are not just keeping the lights on, but they are truly making systems that intelligently talk to each other. Back to Julia for the seventh one.
Thank you for sharing these insights, Niels. I've been saying it for a few years now, but I think the ERP industry has been very ripe for disruption. And I think maybe AI is going to be the thing that gets us there. AI is all about better connections. And so I think the ability to turn a traditional bottleneck into a real-time sync across the tech ecosystem is going to be a massive win for any business or technology executive. Thank you again. Up next, with our 7th prediction, I'd like to bring in Owner to talk about how the way we find things online is going to be changing.
Thank you, Julia. So most of us grew up thinking that loyalty is something that we earn after the sale. You deliver good service, you build trust over time, and the customer stays with you. But today in 2026, that idea is kind of falling apart. Leads that come from AI answer engines now convert at 2 to 3 times more than the traditional search. And the reason is pretty clear, actually. By the time a B2B buyer gets to your site or books a demo call, they are not only comparing options anymore, but they already looked at your features, they checked your competitors, and tested your reputation online. All through happens AI and all without ever talking to anyone on your team. So they show up ready to buy. The hard part is that all of this is happening where you cannot see or where you cannot control directly. Millions of buying conversations take place every day inside the tools or platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini or Cloud. And if you are only looking at your website traffic, you are missing the bigger picture. Traffic still is important and it might be going down, but the buyers who do land on your sites are very high quality visitors and they are more serious than ever. So they are not just browsing, they are ready to move forward in the sales funnel. This kind of early loyalty forms through a process called like a deep research or using AI. B2B buyers today, they use these kind of AI agents that work like digital analysts, personal digital analysts. So they ask hundreds of follow-up questions, they compare your products, and they try to understand if your product is the right fit for them. So the questions like, does this work with our current tools, or is it SOC2 compliant, or can we get help in our own time zone, in our own language? And if your online presence, if your content does not give clear answers to these questions, AI simply removes you from the list. And in this way, so you do not just lose the deal, you never even get considered by these buyers. And here is the part that really matters. So AI does not take your word for it directly. It checks third-party platforms, websites, and it checks what other people say about you. Like reviews on G2, conversations on Reddit, public analyst reports, and so on. What people say about your brand on those platforms now counts for more than what you say on your own website or on your own channels. You could have the best landing pages, the sharpest messaging, and the biggest ad budget, but you can still lose to a competitor that simply has a better reputation in the places where AI goes to check. So in 2026, reputation beats visibility. So this is the key point. It's not about whether buyers can find you. It is about what AI learns about you and how it pitches you to the prospects. So with all of that in mind, here are the 3 things you can do right now. First, you can audit your deal breakers. You can use an AI tool or other platforms. Just simply ask questions about your own category and see what are the answers coming up. And you can make sure that your content gives answer to these questions. Second, you can feed the trust signals that AI actually reads. So put things like your certifications, retention numbers, or key integrations in visible places. And if it's possible, you can make your content ungated so that AI can read them. Third, you can move your sales team from storytelling to friction removal, because all of the conversation comes down to these frictions and the pain points of your existing customers. If the buyer already did the research through AI, your sales team, your reps should focus on confirming that research and clearing the last doubts, not starting the whole pitch from scratch. So briefly, in 2026, loyalty is not just about holding on to customers. It is about how you earn their trust before you even meet them. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing these insights, owner. Invisibility is definitely still a risk. If the AI can't find you, the buyer won't either. But I've said it before and I'll say it again, trust and reputation is becoming more and more important. And this is what's going to drive a lot of B2B sales in 2026 and beyond. All right, coming up with our last 8th prediction, Sid, bring us home with digital maturity and faster implementations. I'm sure this is something everyone wants to hear about. How is this all going to work?
Sure thing. Hi again. Part of my job as being implementation success manager at commercetools is staying close to implementations and see those patterns and shifts evolving. So I want to talk about today what I see as the next big shift in digital maturity for B2B commerce, and that is AI driving faster, more practical implementations. In the past, a lot of digital programs were about getting the basics right. We have all seen that, launching an e-commerce portal, enabling transactions online, and replacing legacy systems. That foundation still matters, but the bar is clearly moving. What we are seeing now is B2B organizations using AI to go beyond transactions and focus more on experience. That means more personalized interactions, more automation, and smarter touchpoints across the entire buyer journey, from discovery to decision making to post purchase engagement. Importantly, most companies aren't jumping straight into large all in AI transformations. Instead, they are starting small. Many are taking a minimum viable product approach, MVP approach, as we call it, identifying one or two specific pain points and applying AI in a very targeted way. It could be improving product discovery, speeding up quotation management, or reducing friction in post purchase support interactions. As a result, we are starting to see a shift away from long multi-year replatforming projects. Instead, companies are moving toward phased migrations, where each step delivers measurable business value. You don't wait years to see results. Value shows up early and it compounds over time. I'm going to take an example from Coflex, a leading plumbing connector manufacturer in Mexico. They modernized their B2B commerce in just 90 days, creating a sleek B2C style portal to serve their distributor network. Within 6 months, Coflex observed an increase in digital transactions, engagement, and revenue. This is a focus change, and change like this can deliver instant impact while setting the stage for broader transformation. Looking ahead, B2B organizations that adopt this model will achieve faster time to value, agility, and resilience. When AI-powered capabilities are combined with modular platforms, teams can experiment, optimize, and evolve continuously. For me, that's what ultimately creates competitive advantage. Not just adopting AI, but using it to raise the standard for B2B buyer experiences. Back to you, Julia.
Thank you, Sid. Speed to value is the only metric that matters this year, I think, for your own customers, for your bottom line, and for your organization's own digital maturity. The Coflex story was a really great example, and it was a transformation that was co-led by their commercial director and their IT director. So it was a true partnership, and this is what I think helped it move so fast. Thank you for closing us out on a strong note, Sid. And that is basically a wrap on our 8 predictions for 2026. In the interest of time, I won't reread all of them, but to summarize what we expect, AI is definitely going to be an amplifier, but your core business foundation, your data, your brand, and your people, that's what's going to make it all work. AI is already infusing into all of the industry trends that have been proliferating over the last few years, from hybrid selling to scalability to buying experiences and digital commerce implementations. And we're looking forward to seeing what developments and innovations come this year. If you're in B2B, I think there really is no better time to be alive than today. We'd also love to hear your thoughts. Is there anything we missed here? Is there something that you agree or disagree with? Let us know. We're always happy to hear from you and chat all things B2B commerce, digital maturity, and of course, AI. So just as a reminder before we close out, what you heard today was just a small snippet of all the knowledge and goodness that we have packed into the pivotal trends and predictions in B2B digital commerce for 2026 report. So here's the QR code again, so you can download it for yourselves. Check out the current state of B2B digital commerce, read more about the 5 foundational pillars for AI-driven growth, try out the very first B2B-specific AI-enabled digital maturity model, and dive into our 8 predictions in much more detail, as well as learning more about real stories from B2B outperformers like Coflex and other experts. We've also included 7 actionable insights at the end that can help you plan your 2026 roadmap and strategy. It's never too late. And we'd also love to hear your thoughts. If there's anything we missed, something you agree or disagree with, let us know. And with that, I would also like to once again thank all of our commerce experts for their time today and for sharing their unique insights. Aaron, Anna, Niels, Ezra, Owner, Sid, you're all an inspiration to me and to others. And a huge thank you to everyone in our audience today for joining us. We hope you found this valuable, and we're looking forward to continuing the conversation. So with that, let's turn AI into your B2B strategic advantage for 2026. Thank you so much, and have a great day.